After 8 months of waiting, it is finally here. Legendary Annihilation, the newest expansion by Upper Deck for the Legendary Marvel deck building game. I'm excited to unbox it for you guys, and I'm happy to say that up until this point, I have been successfully able to avoid all spoilers on whoever the 5th hero is and whoever the 2nd mastermind and 2nd villain group are. Now, the common guesses are that it's going to be Kang the Conqueror for Mastermind number 2 and Dr. Doom for Hero number 5. And some of you guys might already know, so you'll see if I'm wrong or not. Can't wait to find out. A little birdie also told me that there is a spoiler for one of those characters on the back of this box, so I'm not even going to look at the back until I get a good look at the cards first. We've seen all the other cards. I'm excited to see them in person. Let's go ahead and do this thing and open this up. Man, it's been such a long wait, but I'm so happy it is finally here. I'm going to sleeve these things as soon as I can, but first we're going to look at them. Right, can't look at the back. And, all right. Where does it open? This is really hard to do without looking at the back of the box. Okay, here we go. I'm very excited. Oh, I opened it up upside down. So, leave the box over here. Who do we have on the front? There he is, Kang. I knew it. Kang the Conqueror, I guess, is our 2nd mastermind. And this is Psylord, who we've seen. So that's 1 for 2. I'm very excited to see Kang. I can't wait to see what he does. We already heard that Man Out of Time can send heroes you have out of time, whether you like it or not. Do it as a villainous effect. Here is the instruction manual. All right, I'm not going to peek at it yet. Let's look at the cards first, actually. So let's take care of the one with Psylord in it first. I'll be doing a full overview of all the cards after this. I just wanted to open them up and see what we have. So we've already seen Psylord. His hero set looks really cool. So we've got, you know, one Psylord, set the time stream, reshape reality. Oh, it's the Super Skrull. Super Skrull is who I hoped for, but I didn't think he would make it into this set. He is the last character to have a named comic in the Annihilation event, so I was actually early on hoping for him. I had given up hope once we saw Fantastic Four United, so I guess we're not getting Doom, but I am pleasantly surprised to get Super Skrull. I wanted him as a hero. That is fantastic. All right, cool. So we've got Super Skrull here. And there's, we got Rock Solid. I can't wait to get a good look at these. Okay, he's using the powers, too, of all the Fantastic Four. More Psylord. And Brainstorm. Awesome. We've seen those. These cards look so good, by the way. I love the art on them. Psylord, Fantastic Four United. I can't wait to use these cards. I'm so excited. All right, and there's the thing from Fantastic Four United, and we have the Heralds probably in the other pack. All right, so that's it. We got Kang as our Mastermind number 2. And we have Super Skrull as hero number 5. So I was wrong about Doom, but pleasantly so. I thought Super Skrull was done for, but he is what I preferred over Doom, actually. So that is great. It'll go great with schemes like Kree versus Skrull War. All right, so we've got a Kang tactic. We have Annihilus, his tactics, who we've seen. Pulse Slaves from the negative zone, we've seen. All right, we got new villain groups and new schemes to look at. Okay, sneak attack the hero's home. So we've seen these 2 schemes. What are the other 2? Put humanity on trial and breach parallel dimensions. Awesome. There's the Annihilation Wave villain group, which we've seen. There is the infamous weaponized Galactus card. Another Kang. Oh, there's the actual Mastermind card. He has Conqueror. I can't wait to look at that. Iron Lad. All right, so timelines of Kang. So that's what I thought would happen. We'd probably get a Ultron-type villain group where it is Ultron's legacy, but with Kang instead. Different versions of Kang, different timelines, and different points in time. So we got Iron Lad, Scarlet Centurion, wonderful. Pharaoh Ramatut. Oh, I love this villain group already. Immortus. Oh, this is so cool. There's the Annihilation Armada, followed by the Heralds group, and there's Stardust, Galactus Hungers. Oh, I can't wait to pull that card off. And then more Super Skrull. All right, so it's Kang, Super Skrull, and what are we calling it? What's the name of his group? Timelines of Kang, and those 2 other schemes. Awesome, now I can take a look at the back of the box. Who's on it? All right, it was Kang on the back. I'm so happy I avoided knowing until just now. I'm very excited to find out on this video. All right, and there is our manual. We'll take a look at that right now. If you'd like to skip directly to the card overviews, go ahead and check the timestamp in the description. Here we go. The Fantastic Four return just in time to save the galaxy from annihilation. The fan-favorite expansion Legendary Fantastic Four was released as a whopping 8 years ago in 2013. Now Annihilation reimagines the Fantastic Four's friends and foes in a whole new way, facing galactic-level threats. Franklin Richards, son of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, manifested reality-warping powers even as a toddler. Moving through timelines and dimensions, Franklin has now returned in teenage form as the powerful Psylord. His sister Valeria Richards had her life saved as a child by Dr. Doom, who guided her intellect. Now Valeria has also returned through time as a teenage brainstorm, combining Mr. Fantastic's intelligence with Dr. Doom's cunning. Kang the Conqueror, knew it, has tormented the Fantastic Four and the Avengers for decades, traveling through different timelines and different identities. In the Marvel Comics storyline Annihilation, Annihilus leads his vast annihilation wave of alien warships from the Negative Zone to devour the galaxy. He has harnessed the power of one of the most powerful beings in creation, Galactus himself. Now former enemies like the Super Skrull Kalurt, who mimics the Fantastic Four's powers, so excited to have him in here, and the Heralds of Galactus must unite with the Fantastic Four and others to save this dimension once and for all. Alright, here we go. Returning keywords. Focus. The popular Focus keyword lets you transform your recruit points into powerful, flexible effects. It has only ever appeared in the original legendary Fantastic Four set. Some hero cards say things like Focus 2, draw a card. When you play a card with a focus ability, you can pay the cost on the left side of the arrow to get the effect on the right side of the arrow. You can use that focus ability as many times as you want for the rest of the turn. For example, say you play a card that says Focus 2 Recruit, draw a card. For the rest of your turn, you can use 2 recruit points to draw a card as many times as you want, as long as you have the recruit points available. You can even play more heroes, recruit, fight, and then use the focus ability again. Note you can use focus abilities and still use the healing ability on wounds. Super Skrull uses the Fantastic Four's abilities with a twist, focusing attack instead of recruit. Very cool. All right, man and woman at a time. So we're going to have a shift on this because villains, and I think Kang uses this. This keyword debuted in the legendary Captain America 75th Anniversary expansion in 2016. There it represented how 1941 Captain America and his allies returned from the past. Now the keyword represents how Psylord, Brainstorm, and Kang the Conqueror return from the future. This keyword means after you use this card's ability, set it aside. At the beginning of your next turn, play this card a second time and then discard it. The card is discarded the second time you play it, so you can only play the card twice. You can't use man at a time again to play that card for a third turn. Play your returning man at a time cards after the play a villain card part of your turn and before you start playing out your hand. You played a man at a time card on both the first turn you played it and the second turn when you replayed it, so it can help you activate your superpower abilities on both turns. You can use a focus ability on a man at a time card throughout the first and second turns you play the card. If a special ability lets you copy or play a copy of a hero card, you can't use man at a time on the copy. Now this is interesting. Some enemies send your cards out of time, setting them aside in the same way. When you play and discard that card at the start of your next turn, you can't use man at a time again. So we saw that in the blog post, but I can't wait to see how it's used. And here we go, the new keyword, momentum. The Annihilation Wave is a fast-moving invasion force. While pushing forward, they feed on the resources of new territory, becoming more powerful. This is represented by the new momentum keyword. Some villains say things like Momentum 3. This means this villain gets +3 attack if it entered another city space this turn. This works on the turn the villain enters the city. It also works on any other turn when it is pushed into another city space by another villain, or by a special ability moving or swapping it to another space. The Mastermind Annihilus has the variant Mass Momentum 2. This means he gets +2 attack for each villain currently in the city that entered a new city space this turn. This doesn't include villains who entered the escape pile this turn. For both Momentum and Mass Momentum, it doesn't matter how many different city spaces a villain entered during a turn. It only matters if it entered any new city spaces at all. If a board gets complicated with special abilities moving villains around, some players like to shift Momentum villains up a bit to help signal that they have entered a new space this turn. Conqueror, here we go. This is the tip-off that Kang was in this set. The name Kang the Conqueror calls out to use the Conqueror keyword, which appeared in Legendary Marvel Studios Phase 1 and Legendary Heroes of Asgard. It represents how Kang's different identities from different timelines become stronger when their preferred battlegrounds are conquered. Some villains say things like Bridge Conqueror 3. This means this gets +3 attack while any villain is on the bridge. This villain gets the bonus while it itself is on the bridge or while another villain is on the bridge. Different villains in the Kang Mastermind have different Conqueror abilities with different bonus numbers and referring to different city spaces. Some hero cards also have abilities like Rooftops Conqueror 2, which likewise means you get +2 attack if any villain is on the rooftops. And it looks like we have card clarifications here. Galactus consumes the Earth. 2 Galactus cards in this set can destroy city spaces. You can mark this by moving the Mastermind to cover the destroyed city spaces or by putting wounds on the destroyed spaces. Whenever villains are pushed out of the new end space of the city, they escape as normal. If a city space like the rooftops is destroyed, act as if that city space no longer exists and the word rooftops is not written on the board anymore. So card effects won't do anything that say if there is a villain on the rooftops like Conqueror, or move a villain to the rooftops, or if the rooftops are empty. Note, Firelord's ability specifically overrides this. Alright, we'll have to take a look at that. I think that refers to... Oh, I don't know Firelord's. Note, Firelord's ability specifically overrides this. We'll have to take a look at that. Alright, your heroes and heroes you have. I know this comes up a lot. As the core rulebook says, these phrases include both the cards in your hand and the cards you have played this turn. The heroes in your deck and discard pile don't count. Here is an additional clarification. Cards you played this turn that have moved to some other location still count as cards you played this turn, but they don't count as your heroes or heroes you have. You can't reveal such cards for card abilities or KO them or set them aside unless the card specifically says you should. This includes cards that move to the KO pile, man out of time, sidekick stack, hero deck, transformation pile, or your discard pile, deck, or victory pile, etc. after you played them. For example, say you play a ranged hero, trigger its woman out of time ability, and set it aside. At the start of the next turn, you play the card again because of woman out of time, then discard it. For the rest of the turn, you did play a ranged hero this turn, and you can use superpower abilities like ranged, you get +1 attack. However, if an effect says reveal a ranged hero or KO one of your heroes, you can't pick that woman out of time card that you discarded, since it has already gone to another pile or location. Alright, cool. I think this is stuff that's been clarified in the FAQ and on forums, but I believe this is the first time this is clarified in an official rule sheet, so that's really cool to see here. So yeah, in a nutshell, cards you have don't include cards that you've put somewhere else, like men and women at a time. Choosing from multiple villain decks. Alright, some schemes create multiple villain decks. I believe we've seen that before. If a card tells you to do something with the villain deck, like reveal player add cards, the active player chooses any one of the villain decks for that effect. Use the same villain deck for all of that card's effects. Don't do those effects to every villain deck. This also generally applies whenever a special effect makes multiple versions of something that usually only exists once in the game, like multiple masterminds, multiple hero decks, etc. Cool, another thing I think that's been clarified in forums and such, but cool to have on the rule sheet. What else do we have? Join the Marvel Legendary community. Marvel Legendary owes its long lifespan to its incredible players and community. Thank you. Join Marvel Legendary groups on social media sites and board game websites to find keyword reference guides, links to randomizers, news, discussions, resources, and other players. Rating the game well on board game websites also helps it grow. Yeah, so let me speak for that. Where I go is definitely the Board Game Geek page for Legendary, a wonderful group of people and community there. Upper Deck has their own Discord server where they have a channel for Legendary. And of course, there is the Bagel Top Games Discord where you can join to play in the Randomizer League, find out when streams are, use the keyword bot there. So check out the link in the description if you'd like to join our Legendary community. And there's the game contents and all the wonderful people that make this game happen, who I'm sure are extremely happy to finally see this game release. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and get a look at each individual card. And we start who is essentially the titular character here, Annihilus. He has Mass Momentum 2, which means he gets +2 attack for each villain in the city that moved to a new city space this turn, and his Master Strike effect affects that. He always leads the Annihilation Wave group, which we'll look at. One player uses 6 henchmen instead of the regular 10. Master Strike. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a bystander, Annihilus captures it. If it's a villain, it enters the city, captures a bystander, and moves forward an extra space before doing any ambush ability, which will give Annihilus a +2 attack bonus that turn. By the way, he's worth 6 VP, and he has a base 10 attack. Now let's look at some of his tactics. Here we've got Surging Annihilation. Fight. Check all Annihilation Wave villains from each other player's victory pile. The one worth the most VP enters the city. That player rescues bystanders equal to that villain's VP. Interesting, so they trade off the villain from their victory pile for bystanders. So that's interesting. They don't actually lose any victory points. They basically swap them. But if they're able to fight and gain that villain back, then they get double the VP they already have. Next, we have Pull into the Negative Zone. Fight. The cost of each hero currently in the HQ gets -2 this turn, a helpful effect. And the flavor text here, he's got a really negative attitude. I love that. Tactic 3, the Cosmic Control Rod. Fight. Each other player reveals the top 3 cards of their deck, KOs the highest cost hero they revealed this way, and puts the rest back in any order. So if you like KOing rare cards, this is the way to do it. And that's each other player, so the more people you're playing with, the more devastating KOs you're probably going to encounter. And finally, deploy the planet killer. Fight. If this is not the final tactic, oh, we love those. If Weaponized Galactus is in the city, he escapes. If Weaponized Galactus wasn't in the city and wasn't in any victory pile, then he enters the city from the villain deck and you shuffle the villain deck. I love the concept of Weaponized Galactus, even though it'll be really frustrating to play against, but I love how you can summon him here. That's it for Annihilus. Let's look at his always leads group right now. Starting with Queens of Annihilation, they have Momentum 3, which again means they get +3 if they've moved in the city this turn. Ambush, reveal the top card of the villain deck if it's a villain, play it, and fight, KO one of your heroes. So there's actually 3 of them in this set, so they could chain 1, 2, 3, and then all get momentum, actually, except for the first one. Well, the first one still could get momentum if the next one is also a villain. So all 3 could push, could reveal a 4th villain, and then they all have 7 attack that turn. But only that turn. Well, until another villain comes in. Flavor text here, Erratica, Extermina, and Extirpia each lead a third of the Annihilation wave as the royal consorts of Annihilus. Next we have the Annihilation Armada. There are 2 of these in the set, somewhat representing a theoretical Annihilation Wave henchman. They have Momentum 2, again, +2 attack if they've moved in the city this turn. Ambush, a henchman villain from your victory pile enters the city. The wave was always advancing, always growing, always consuming. So again, forcing things to come into the city, causing momentum and causing escapes. I really hesitate to play this with any scheme that loses when a certain amount of villains are in the escape pile. Now we have Ravenous from the Annihilation Wave, 5 base attack, 4 VP. By the way, I didn't mention this has 4 base attack and 3 VP, 3 base attack and 2 VP. So back to Ravenous, he's got Momentum 3, which means he could get 8 total attack if he moved in the city this turn. His Ambush effect almost guarantees that. He swaps places with an Annihilation Wave villain that isn't Weaponized Galactus, which is anything you see here or the other Ravenous card. Escape, each player reveals a strength hero or gains a wound. I love the art on this. Wow, what a crazy villain group so far, and it's about to get crazier. And here we go, the unique card in this villain group, Weaponized Galactus. 9 base attack, 7 VP, and Momentum 9. If Galactus moves in the city during the turn, he gets +9 attack for a whopping 18 attack, and his ambush effect is this. Weaponized Galactus swaps places with the leftmost villain in the city. Escape. Destroy the leftmost city space. If this destroys the last city space, evil wins. Otherwise, each player gains a wound, and you shuffle Weaponized Galactus back into the villain deck. Any villain from the destroyed city space escapes. That is terrifying. Just imagine using Weaponized Galactus in a game with Galactus as the mastermind himself. Alright, with that, let's go ahead and look at our second mastermind, the one revealed today, Kang the Conqueror. And this is all new, so I can't wait to find out what he does. 8 base attack, 6 victory points. Kang has Conqueror 2 for each city space under a time incursion. Ooh, what's that? He benefits from villains there. Villains under a time incursion get +2 attack. Always leads timelines of Kang. Master Strike. This strike becomes a time incursion. Put it above the rightmost city space that doesn't yet have a time incursion. So one more time, his Master Strike makes a time incursion over a city space, much like some other effects like Dark Portals. So since there's 5 strikes in a deck, you can have 1 time incursion on each city space, I suppose. And when that time incursion is there, villains get +2 attack. And then he also gets Conqueror 2. So I guess by Master Strike number 4, he can have Conqueror 8. 2 for each city space that has a time incursion, putting him up to 16. Wow, he just gets stronger over time. Best to take him out early. And what if Weaponized Galactus comes out and destroys a city space? That's actually going to help you against Kang because he can't get full power. Very cool. All right, let's see what his tactics do. We've got Pull from the Future. Fight. Reveal the top 2 cards of the villain deck. Choose a villain revealed this way to enter an empty city space under a time incursion. Put the rest back in any order. Cool. Looks like you're able to avoid this. If you can hit Kang before he puts a time incursion on a city space, this does nothing. And this is going to have villains enter weird city spaces. But it looks like you get to choose which city space if they both have time incursions, or there's multiple ones the villain goes into. Really interesting way to manipulate the city. You're going to have villains entering in all kinds of weird places. We've got Iron Lad grows up to become Kang. Spoiler alert. Fight. If this is not the final tactic. Oh, they both have if this is not the final tactic. Love it. Each player reveals their hand. You choose a card named Iron Lad from the escape pile, or from Man Out of Time, or from any player's hand or discard pile that you played this turn. Shuffle Iron Lad into Kang tactics as a mastermind tactic that says, fight, gain this as a hero. Very interesting. So you give him more tactics, kind of like Mysterio, but you fight him and you gain him as a hero. And I assume this would also work with the Iron Lad that's part of Stature's hero set on the divided cards from Civil War. And it does say from any player's hand or discard pile. So that means if you have Stature as a hero, Kang can actually take one of the Iron Lad cards in that set and put it into his tactics pile, and you can gain that as a hero from that pile. Interesting. I guess that would only be the one stature common that has Iron Lad on it, so that would be 5 of those cards. And of course, the villain that we're going to see in a little bit. Third tactic, leap into the time stream. Fight if this is not the... Ooh, 2 of this is not the final tactic. Take another turn after this one. Don't play a card from the villain deck at the start of that turn. Interesting. This is exactly how I would have preferred the time gem from the Infinity Gems villain group to work, that you get to actually take another turn without playing a card from the villain deck, as if you're rewinding time. I love that effect. It makes the time gem better, but it's with a Kang tactic, so that's really cool. You basically steal his time travel tech and use it. And finally, Savior from another timeline. Fight. You may gain a hero from any HQ space under a time incursion. Send it as a man or woman out of time. So I think this means instead of when you gain the hero, instead of going to your discard pile directly as a normally gained hero would do, it goes to your next hand as a out of time card where you would play it at the beginning of your turn, then discard it. Interesting, so you get to play it right away. And it doesn't say a cost, so you could use this to get a rare and use it at the beginning of your next turn. That's really cool. And I just wanted to double check here. So the time incursion goes above the rightmost city space. And that one mentioned the HQ. So Savior from another timeline. You may gain a hero from any HQ space under a time incursion. Okay, so the time incursion goes over the city space. So I was right on that. If it's over the sewers, for example, any hero in this HQ space here would be able to be recruited for free and sent out of time from that tactic. Wow, what a fantastic mastermind set. A couple of, if this is not the final tactics, you got a lot of cool stuff there. And sending things out of time, and time incursions, villains entering everywhere. Let's see what his villain group does. Starting with Iron Lad, of course, there are 2 of these. It has 4 attack, and looks like you can gain it as a hero. Fight. The player of your choice gains this as a hero. It becomes a tech hero with 2 attack, and then a tech superpower, man out of time. That's really cool. His card from Stature's hero set has 2 recruit, and is also tech, size-changing tech, and then tech draw a card. So just like that, it has a tech superpower and is worth 2, but this time attack instead of recruit. So it looks like each villain in this villain group has 2 cards per villain. We've got 3 VP, 4 base attack for Scarlet Centurion here. Love that art. He's got Bank Conqueror 2. We know what that means. Ambush. Reveal your hand and send your highest cost hero as a man or woman out of time. Fight. If you played a covert hero this turn, KO one of your heroes. So interesting, it's not as bad as discarding a hero from your hand, it's delaying it, basically putting it in stasis until your next turn. Let's say you have a powerful rare in your hand, he's going to send it out of time, so that means you can't use it right now, but at the beginning of your next turn, you will have to play it then. A very cool way to manipulate out of time. And I don't quite understand why you KO one of your heroes only if you played a covert. Maybe it's because he's good at finding out when somebody's being sneaky and he can KO them, but I do love that twist on it. Next is the Pharaoh Rama Tut version of Kang, 4 victory points and 4 base attack. Bridge Conqueror 3, ambush. If the bridge is empty, move a villain to the bridge. So we get the Conqueror, very nice. Fight, send a strength or instinct hero you played this turn as a man or woman out of time. So at least you have played that card, and you can send it out of time when you fight him. Again, probably stealing his tech. It just occurred to me that sending things out of time this way could really help with transforming cards to set up to transform them quickly. For example, if you fought Pharaoh Rama Tut and you sent a Hulkbuster Iron Man card undercover, like pound for pound, you might be able to get a better chance at taking Build a Suit and transforming it. And finally, of course, we have Immortus. 5 victory points, 5 base attacks. Streets Conqueror 3. Fight. Reveal a ranged hero or reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a villain worth 4 victory points or less, defeat it, do its fight effect, and put Immortus in its place. Now hold on a second. That means you put Immortus on the top of the villain deck if you were able to defeat that thing. Interesting. So it's kind of like a Fateful Resurrection, but it goes back to the top of the villain deck instead of immediately entering the city. So he sabotages a henchman and just comes back. Escape. Each player reveals a ranged hero or gains a wound. Shuffle Immortus back into the villain deck. So, wow. So he has a lot of ways to come back. So if you fight him and it's a weaker villain on the top of the deck, he comes back. If he escapes, he comes back. He keeps on coming back. And combined with Kang as the mastermind, with the time incursions, he could keep being strong once he enters the city. Wow, this is not an easy expansion. Not that I was expecting it to be. Okay, so those are all the masterminds and villains in this expansion. It looks like a blast, a lot of fun. Let's take a look at the schemes real quick, then I'm going to clear the board and we can look at all the heroes in this set. So here's the two we've seen already. Pulse Waves from the negative zone, 9 twists, and the odd twist, 1, 3, 5, and 7. Negative Pulse, this turn heroes in the HQ cost -1 recruit, and villains and mastermind get -1 attack. And then on the even number twist, opposite, Positive Pulse, this turn heroes in the HQ cost 1 recruit, and villains and masterminds get 1 attack. And this is a timer scheme, twist number 9, Evil Wins. You'll have to do some clever manipulation to make sure you don't lose to this scheme. And here's the second one we've seen already, Sneak Attack the Hero's Homes. 6 twists, each player chooses a hero to be part of the hero deck. I love that. Randomly select other heroes up to the normal number of heroes. Each player adds to their starting deck 3 non-rare cards with different names from the hero they chose and 3 wounds. I love the rare schemes that change the starting deck. That is fantastic. Also, when you do a randomizer, I guess you get to pick a hero anyway, even if the rest is randomized. Twist 1 to 5, each player discards a non-gray hero or gains a wound, and another timer scheme, twist 6, Evil Wins. I know some aren't going to be happy about the timer schemes, but with the pressure that this set puts on you, I think it's only appropriate to have a timer scheme there. And here we are, one of the 2 new schemes, Put Humanity on Trial. A lot of text on this one. All right, setup, 11 twists, stack 11 bystanders next to the scheme face down as galactic jurors. Special rules, each twist gives you a challenge to achieve this turn. If you do it, you have convinced a juror and you rescue them. If you don't, put that juror face up next to the villain deck, voting to condemn humanity. Oh, is this the 12 Angry Men scheme? Interesting that it's 11 twists. I guess you're the last juror, I suppose. Twist 1 to 2, opening arguments. Discard 3 cards with different names. Okay, so if you do that, you convince the juror. So you have to do that when the twist happens. So it's like a whole bunch of traps, I guess. Twist 3, 5, 7, question witnesses. Recruit a hero that costs 5 or more. Twist 4, 6, and 8, introduce evidence. Defeat villains worth 3 victory points or more. Twist 9 to 11, closing arguments. Defeat the mastermind. And then Evil Wins when 6 jurors vote to condemn humanity. Interesting, so you do have the chance to convince all the jurors, so you may not lose to the Evil Wins condition. And I think this is our first courtroom kind of theme scheme. This would be fun to play with characters like Daredevil and She-Hulk. That would be a fun setup to do. I love this. And the very last scheme in this expansion is Breach Parallel Dimensions. More text here. Setup, 6 twists, add 4 extra bystanders to the villain deck. Deal the shuffled villain deck into several dimension decks, where the first dimension has 1 card, the next has 2 cards, then 3, 4, etc. The final dimension might not have enough cards to reach its full number. Special rules. Each turn, you choose which dimension you play a card from. All players have Focus 1 Recruit, reveal the top card of any dimension and put it back on the top or bottom of that deck. If a dimension ever has no cards left, even in the middle of a card ability, it is destroyed. Mark it with a face-up wound. Twist, choose a dimension and play 2 cards from it. It's okay if it only has 1. Evil Wins when at least half of the original dimensions are destroyed. Interesting, so this kind of takes in some elements from Danger Sense, as well as, I think, the Fragmented Reality scheme. I have no idea how I'm going to do this on a stream with all the different decks, but it looks really cool. This gives you a lot of opportunity to see a lot of different villains and cards from the villain deck in your game. Man, there's got to be some really crazy combinations of masterminds here that I'm not even thinking of. I mean, imagine if I did this with the Beyonder, right? You have pocket dimensions, you have villain deck dimensions. I don't even want to think about that. But I might have to try it just because it sounds so ridiculous. Wow, what a cool collection of schemes, too. I'm loving this expansion more and more. All right, let's take a look at our heroes. All right, let's start with none other than the first family with Fantastic Four United. One of the few team hero sets. There are 2 in this expansion, starting with Fing from Fantastic Four United. He is a strength hero, and these are all Fantastic Four affiliated, of course. He has 2+ recruit, 0+ attack, and a cost of 4. And Fantastic Four, you get +1 recruit, and then Focus 3 recruit, you get +2 attack. On Yancey Street or in Deep Space, there's always a time to clobber. And my personal opinion, a huge improvement over the art in the first Fantastic Four expansion. I'm loving how this looks. The backlit thing about to clobber you with his foot coming over the card text is wonderful. So yeah, if you play a Fantastic Four card before this, then he has enough recruit to do focus right then and there. So he's turning recruit into attack almost every turn that way. Next, we have the Human Torch as the other common card in this set. He is ranged with 2 recruit and 0+ attack and cost of 4. Focus 2 recruit, KO up to 2 wounds from your hand and or discard pile. Focus 6 recruit, you get +6 attack and gain a wound, similar to his original hero set. In fact, all of these heroes represent their original hero sets. Again, I love how this perspective change is happening with the flames going over the card. I love when that happens. So you have a bunch of effects in this set, including wound mitigation from his original hero set. Very cool. The uncommon here is Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, Covert, 2+ Recruit, and a cost of 4. If you played any other cards that cost 4 this turn, wonder where I could find any of those, you get +2 Recruit, Focus 4, Recruit, Rescue a Bystander, then you may KO a card from your hand or discard pile. So we've already got Recruit into Attack, we've got Wound Mitigation and Gaining, and we've also got Rescuing Bystanders. So this is going to be, I assume, a very popular hero set for leagues. And finally, the patriarch of the family, the rare hero, Mr. Fantastic. It is a tech card, of course, 2 Recruit, 0+ Attack, and a cost of 7. Draw 2 cards, Focus 5 Recruit. You get +7 attack, usable only against the Mastermind, which doesn't seem that great usually. It's less versatile that way, but it is 7 attack just for 5 Recruit. So your early investment on Recruit pays off. You'll be able to use that to turn it into 7 attack, and especially against some of the core or earlier Masterminds, that's almost their entire attack value. By the way, the only card in this hero set that does not cost 4. I'm just going to rearrange them like this so we can see them all. All right, let's move on to the second team group, the Heralds of Galactus. Our friend the Silver Surfer is the first common in this set. I love the art. I've always been a sucker for the cosmic art in the Marvel Universe, and this is no exception. A ranged card, 2 Recruit, 4 cost. Focus 2 Recruit, draw a card, then you may move a villain to an adjacent city space. If another villain is already there, swap them, yet again echoing his hero set from the Fantastic Four expansion. Now keep in mind, Silver Surfer could cause one of these villains to increase its momentum. Let's say nothing moves in the city this turn, and he swaps an Annihilation Armada around. It's going to get momentum too, so it'll get +5 at that point. Could that be an advantage to you? I don't know, but you could do it. Firelord is the second common. Actually, it has a lower cost than Silver Surfer, so this could be the first common, but it doesn't really matter. They're both commons, there's 5 of each. It is also a ranged card, so 10 ranged cards in this set, and it's got 2+ attack and 3 cost. This turn, your hero's Conqueror abilities also give you attack if those city spaces have been destroyed. So this benefits you destroying spaces. And then ranged Bridge Conqueror 2, and that is going to key into the rare card in this set. But yeah, interesting. So it doesn't necessarily give you more attack, but it lets you do your regular Conqueror ability even if the space is destroyed, so it offsets that a little bit. Going over these in previews is one thing, but seeing how they all fit together is a whole nother thing, and I'm glad we could finally get the whole picture. Now things are getting crazy. Stardust is a covert card, 4 Recruit, 0+ Attack, and a cost of 6, 4 Focus 4, Recruit, Rooftops Conqueror 4, Focus 11 Recruit. A crazy focus effect. Search the hero deck, HQ, or your deck or discard pile for Galactus Hungers and put it on top of your deck. Shuffle any deck you searched. And I believe there was a clarification in one of the streams where you look all over the place, but for example, if you search your deck for Galactus Hungers and put it on top of your deck, you do not then reshuffle your deck to bury Galactus Hungers. You shuffle your deck before you put Galactus Hungers on top. It would only apply if you searched your actual deck. But yeah, the point is to summon Galactus Hungers and get him ready to do what he does. It is super cool to have a summoning effect on one of these cards. I was hoping we'd see that in Legendary. I don't think we've seen an actual summoning effect like this that you can trigger with a focus, so I look forward to seeing more of it. But speaking of Galactus Hungers, let's go ahead and take a look at them. One of the coolest looking cards in all of Legendary in my opinion, and the coolest effect is Galactus Hungers, and I think this is the most expensive card, the most expensive hero card in the game so far, with a cost of a whopping 10. I think because you're supposed to try and summon him with Stardust, but you need 11 Recruit to do that anyway. 8+ attack. If you have played another Herald of Galactus this turn, destroy the leftmost city space, defeat any villain there, and then you get +2 attack for each destroyed city space. If this destroys the last city space, Galactus consumes the Earth, you win, evil wins, and all other players lose. A very fitting effect, so if you want to end the game early and make all your friends sad at the table and walk away as the victor, destroy everything. It's just as good as flipping the table, except the game is still there. That is wonderful. You've done it legitimately if you did that. Oh, I can't wait to pull this off someday. Alright, time to look at the Richard's Children, starting with Psylord. Common 1, Avert Future Tragedy, an instinct card. By the way, I did mention, of course, all the Fantastic Four United are Fantastic Four. Every single one of the Heralds of Galactus are unaffiliated. We're back to the Fantastic Four affiliation here with the family. Avert Future Tragedy, instinct 2, Recruit, 0+ attack, and a cost of 3. Psylord has a very utility-based hero set, as you're about to see. Focus 2, Recruit, reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a Master Strike, you get +3 attack, KO it, and replace it with the top card from the Bystander stack, and then instinct Man out of time. So I think this is only the second card after Happy Hogan that can actually KO Master Strikes, so now you don't need Spider-Man Homecoming to do that. This would work great with things like Danger Sense. But Psylord may not have to use Danger Sense, as he has his own ways to look at the villain deck, as you can see here. Next, we have the other common. It's a covert common, Interdimensional Rescue. 2+ attack, 4 cost, focus 1 recruit, reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a bystander, you get +2 attack, rescue it, and shuffle the top card from the bystander stack into the villain deck, covert man at a time. So yeah, what you could do is combo it with Avert Future Tragedy by revealing a Master Strike, KOing it, putting a bystander on top, and then focusing 1 to do Interdimensional Rescue, and getting that bystander, +2 attack, and putting the other one on top, or actually into the deck. So if you're down to only a few cards in the deck, you might be able to chain Interdimensional Rescue by doing this over and over and keep getting lucky draws with the bystanders on top. Unless you have another way to put bystanders on top of the deck. Here we go, Slip the Time Stream, a slightly older Psylord, a covert card with 3 recruit and 0+ attack, and a cost of 6. Focus 1 recruit, more focus. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a villain, you get +1 attack, and you may fight it this turn. And then Instinct, Covert, Man Out of Time. So everything he's had so far has had Man Out of Time, and he's only had Instinct, Covert, and this is Instinct, Covert. So he could play a lot of his cards on multiple turns. That's going to be a lot of cards to keep. It's almost like a Spider-Man deck with the amount of cards you draw, but instead you delay them, and you basically, it feels like a teleport kind of, but you have to play them at the beginning of your next turn. And all this villain deck manipulation, what a cool concept for a hero. And finally, Reshape Reality, Psylord's Rare, an instinct card, the second instinct card in the set, 3 each recruit and attack with 3+ attack, which means it increases, of course, 7 cost, focus 3 recruit, reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a Scheme Twist, you get +4 attack and shuffle the villain deck. 2 Fantastic Four, superpower, Man Out of Time. Playing a rare at a time is always great, this is no exception. Psylord is going to be the key for avoiding a lot of these really nasty Scheme Twist and Master Strike effects if you can get enough focus. So I think the goal of his hero set is to get a ton of recruit and then use him to really manipulate that villain deck while the other decks or the rest of your deck do the heavy hitting. Again, I can't even fathom the ways that this is going to change a game, but I can't wait to try his hero set. Okay, and time for his sister Valeria, who kind of takes from Doctor Doom. Probably the reason why Doctor Doom isn't a hero in this set is because we have Valeria Richards. Let's check it out. Her first common, Time Loop Experiments, and again, she is all Fantastic Four affiliated. Tech, 1 recruit, 2 cost. Draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your deck. Tech, Woman Out of Time. The best way to predict the future is if it's already in the past. So you swap a card, and you can play her again if you have the Tech superpower. So this effectively functions like phasing, except you have a third card involved. With phasing, like Lockjaw's card, that's the card you put on top of your deck. This says you put a different card from your hand on top of your deck and then draw one. So it's a little better, I think, because you get to pick which one goes to the top, which, you know, can work with things like Investigate, etc. Next, we have our second common, a range card, Borrow from the Future. 1 attack, cost of 3. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it costs 2 or more, draw it. Otherwise, discard it or put it back. And then range, Woman Out of Time. Alright, so it's kind of like a Spider-Man card, except if it costs at least 2 or more, you can draw it. So you can draw anything over 2, basically to avoid all the gray starting cards, and I guess some other cards like one of Black Cat's commons that only cost you 1. I think Elektra has 1 too. So it has a bit of a nerf there. Otherwise, it would just be a draw card because it also gives you 1 attack and possibly Out of Time. So more often than not, you'll be able to draw whatever's at the top of your deck. Taking a look at her uncommon card, Reprogram Doombot Legions. We have a tech card, 3 attack and 6 cost. And then Fantastic Four superpower, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck. If you do, KO one of them and put the other one back, which perfectly mirrors the Doombot Henchman effect, which is the same thing. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, KO one, put the other one back. So she's using the Doombot effect. I love that. So a lot of the top of the deck stuff with her. This one lets you draw a card. This one lets you draw it or discard it or put it back if it's not a 2 or more cost. And this one lets you do KOs. A hero set with KO power is very powerful. And this kind of works like Gambit stacked the deck a little bit. Well, actually, her and Gambit in a hero deck are probably going to have the most optimized hands and decks that you can possibly get. And finally, her rare, Protege of Doctor Doom. This is really cool because it uses Doctor Doom's Mastermind Tactics. It has a tech card, 4+ attack, and a cost of 8. Use one of Doctor Doom's Mastermind Tactics. You can't use any of them more than once per game. If you have already used them all, get +4 attack instead. And then here are the effects of the tactics if you don't have them nearby. Take another turn, or draw 3 extra cards at the end of turn, or you may recruit a tech or range hero for free, or all other players draw a card or discard a card. I love how they could actually do this because Dr. Doom is a core mastermind, and just looking at it, I'd probably recommend to actually pull the Dr. Doom tactics so you can pick them at random if you want, but this card says you get to choose one. At the very least, it'll help you keep track of which tactics you've already used if you take the tactic card and put it somewhere else. But really neat. You could use the one you want at the right time. This is going to be weird if you're actually fighting Dr. Doom, but it's kind of like she has a toolkit, and you can pick the one you need. Really neat. I enjoy. Look at all these hero sets are so fantastic, pun intended. All right, now the moment I've been waiting for. We get to look at the fifth and final hero, the one that we just found out about today, Super Skrull. And I love that Super Skrull early on. I really wanted it to be Super Skrull. I think I mentioned this because he is the only hero in the Annihilation event who has a comic with his name as the title that is not a playable hero. Well, actually, until now. So let's take a look at his cards. I can't wait to find out what he does and how it's different than Fantastic Four United. Looks like his first card is Stretching Credibility. It is an instant card with 2 attack and a cost of 3. Focus 2 attack. Oh yeah, I forgot. He focuses attack instead of recruit. How cool is that? When you draw a new hand of cards at the end of this turn, draw an extra card. Color could mimic Mr. Fantastic's elasticity, but never his genius intelligence. So this is identical to Mr. Fantastic's Common 1, except it's an instinct instead of tech, and it focuses attack instead of recruit. Really neat concept. Let's see if the rest follow suit. Common number 2 looks like it's Things Power Rock Solid, a strength card. By the way, I didn't mention, Super Skrull is also unaffiliated. Is this the highest percentage of unaffiliated heroes in 8 expansions so far? Maybe not. I think Dimensions has Man-Thing and Howard the Duck. They're also unaffiliated. Here we go. 0+ recruit, 2+ attack, and 4 cost. Strength Sewers Conqueror 1, focus 3 attack, you get +2 recruit. Interesting, a reverse focus to turn it back into recruit. No one told Kalert that the sewers were not exactly a high priority objective for intergalactic conquest. I mean, you gotta look somewhere. Yeah, so this kind of copies Think's Knuckle Sandwich card and the same effect on his Fantastic Four United card where he focuses 3 recruit to get 2 attack, and of course, Kalert just reverses that, but he also gets Sewers Conqueror 1. Here's his uncommon, which looks like it's based off of Invisible Woman's force fields. Covert, just like her, 2+ attack and cost of 5. Bank Conqueror 1, focus 3 attack. You may KO a card from your hand or discard pile. It's hard to resist robbing a bank when you're invisible, invincible, and can smash steel vaults to pieces. I love this flavor text on him. Interesting, this is just like Invisible Woman's common Disappearing Act, except it's a little more expensive. Invisible Woman has focus 2 recruit, and this card has focus 3 attack. Probably because this card also gives you Bank Conqueror and 2 attack there, even though Disappearing Act gives you 2 recruit. Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four United lets you KO a card from your hand or discard pile if you focus 4. So this is a little more expensive. Super Skrull's in the middle, and then her common is the cheaper one in her hero set. But I didn't notice this, but yeah, unlike the Fantastic Four United, Mr. Fantastic is one of the commons here. The other 2 are the same, but that means the rare is the Human Torch powers, which I think Super Skrull loves to use. A lot of art is with him on fire. Put to the torch, and we have a ranged card here. 4+ attack, 7 cost, Bridge Conqueror 1, and Streets Conqueror 1. You may gain a wound. If you do, you get Rooftops Conqueror 4. So Human Torch from the original set, his attack is 4, but you gain a wound if you play that. So this is a little different, right? You may gain a wound if you do, you get Rooftops Conqueror 4. It's actually more like his effect here, where you focus 6, you get +6 attack and gain a wound. This one gives you a choice. So I guess he's deciding on how to use the Human Torch's powers. So what's the most attack you can get on this card? So 4 attack, both Conquerors would give you 6 attack, and then if you get the wound, you get 10 attack on this one card, which is pretty good. I didn't think that Super Skrull would have Conqueror, but now that I see it, it makes a lot of sense. And those are all the heroes in this Annihilation expansion. Boy, is this a fun set. A great group of villains, mastermind schemes, and a fantastic, again pun intended, group of heroes. I cannot wait to test this out. Maybe I'll stream it today. Who knows? I gotta sleeve everything first. I've already been touching these cards enough. And that's Annihilation. I hope you guys are able to get this as soon as you're able to. I'm gonna play it immediately, I know that. And I'm so glad to finally see an expansion out. I cross my fingers and I hope this means that more expansions for 2021 will come soon. Please leave in the comments what you thought about this expansion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want me to play a specific scheme first, if you want to see me play one, and if you got it already. Don't forget to join us every week, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Pacific, and then Thursdays, Saturdays at 2 p.m. Pacific for our legendary streams. We do all kinds of stuff, MCU games, randomizer games, viewer's choice, chaos streams, where you can spend channel points to change the game up. I will definitely be adding these cards to the rotation. Thanks for coming by. Enjoy Annihilation, and I will see you next time. Take care.